Every organization has a few people who seem unusually comfortable in seasons of transition. While others feel the strain of uncertainty, these leaders inhabit the in-between with a steadiness that is difficult to explain. They're not necessarily more talented or more visionary. What sets them apart is their ability to remain attentive and grounded in moments when the familiar patterns no longer guide the work. They're what might be called edge dwellers, leaders who do some of their best thinking in the spaces where clarity is still forming. Edge dwellers do not treat transition as an interruption. They treat it as information. They pay attention not only to what is changing, but to how those changes reveal something about the organization, the people within it, and the assumptions that have shaped the work until now. Where some leaders rush to restore certainty, the edge dwellers slow down enough to understand what the uncertainty is trying to reveal. They're not casual about disruption. They're simply not alarmed by the fact that things are shifting. These leaders notice patterns earlier than others because they pay attention at a different level. They listen for tone, not just for content. They observe whether people's explanations match their behavior. They track small inconsistencies that might indicate deeper shifts. They do not assume that a familiar problem is still the same problem. They understand that transition seasons often surface truths that were present all along but masked by routine. What gives edge dwellers the capacity to thrive in transition zones is not temperament alone. It's a set of internal practices, often invisible, that help them remain grounded when the map of the work begins to blur. They are comfortable holding competing interpretations at once without forcing one to dominate the others. They're patient with ambiguity without becoming passive. They recognize that clarity in transition is usually something that emerges over time, not something a leader can manufacture by sheer will. This steadiness is not the same as confidence. It is the understanding that uncertainty is often a signal that something important is developing beneath the surface. While others may treat ambiguity as an obstacle, edge dwellers treat it as a source of insight. They watch how people respond when norms loosen. They notice when questions persist even after decisions are made. They pay attention to what new possibilities become visible when familiar structures wobble. Leaders who thrive in transition zones, edge dwellers as it were, understand something that others miss. Edges reveal people. They reveal who's clinging to past patterns and who's sensing the future. They reveal which relationships are sturdy and which are stretched thin. They reveal where trust has depth and where it has been assumed for too long. Edge dwellers approach these revelations not with criticism but with curiosity. They understand that transitions expose a team's true shape, and they use that information to lead with greater care. So, what can other leaders learn from them? Not how to imitate their temperament, and not how to cultivate detachment. Doing that would be an adventure in completely missing the point. What is useful is the way edge dwellers shift their stance in moments of uncertainty. They widen their field of vision instead of narrowing it. They ask questions that make space rather than questions that demand quick conclusions. They examine what assumptions are losing their accuracy. They treat confusion as something to explore instead of something to correct immediately. Edge dwellers also teach something about pace, when to speed up and when to slow down. Leaders that thrive through the uncertainty of transition do not move slowly for the sake of caution. They move at a pace that allows them to see what the moment is actually revealing. When others rush to reassert control, they recognize that premature clarity often leads to decisions that solve the wrong problem. Their patience is not idle. It's deliberate. It gives the emerging landscape enough time to declare itself. Perhaps the most important thing they offer is a reminder that leadership is not only the work of guiding others, but also the work of understanding one's own relationship to uncertainty. Edge dwellers have made peace with the fact that they cannot always see the full picture. They know that their leadership role is not to remove ambiguity, but to stay attentive within it, to carry the team through transitions without pretending the path is clearer than it actually is. As leaders grow, many discover that the edge is not a marginal space. It is where new patterns begin to form, where assumptions loosen enough to be re-examined, and where the next chapter of the work quietly starts to take shape. Edge dwellers simply recognize this sooner, and they show the rest of us that transition is not the place where leadership becomes fragile. It is the place where leadership reveals its depth.